guys that say, "Oh, my PS5 outsold yours 5-1 this month." It's like, bro, what decade are you in? Like, but there is a rumor, Fonz, and you're hearing it right here first, that Xbox might be slightly ahead worldwide, ahead of the PS5.
Isn't it amazing how fast things change? It's amazing how quickly things change, bro. All of a sudden, the entire video game industry has been completely redefined because the company that's doing the worst decided to change it. Absolutely. It's fucking, dude, literal brainwashing type shit.
Alright everybody, welcome back to another Xvault Gaming video. Xvault here, and yes, today we got your next dose of the salty batch files, and as you can see with that opening, the hypocrisy knows no bounds, and we're going to have some things to really dive into here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump to it. Alright, so like I was saying, what we're going to do is get right to the salt. As always, there's heaps of it, mounds of it, if you will. And we're going to start off with a few posts here, and there will be actually a few videos to kind of go over because there's some things to talk about there as well. But let's start with the first one here. We're already setting up the goalpost to be moved. We're talking about everyone's favorite catfish that people seem to not really care about anymore as far as the fanboys. So really odd to me, aka Joseph Cruz, aka Andrea Piccinina, rebranded as Extension, of course. It's hard to go through all those names so quickly all the time. But here we go. As they state here, because of all the Switch 2 announcements and stuff like that. So, Switch 2 will expose the hypocrisy, speaking of hypocrisy here, similar power to the Series S. Digital Foundry won't claim it's too underpowered for current games, which they're employed under the likes of like IGN, multiple other outlets, by the way, from the same company. But yes, they're definitely pro PS5 and pro PlayStation. But let's continue. Media won't make tons of articles downplaying it, because it's their thing. It's a hybrid handheld. It's not meant to be your main console with power. That's not the case behind it. But let's continue. Nobody will have a problem with Switch 2 simply because it doesn't have Xbox in the name. Because again, we're going right back to that hypocrisy, right back to that victim mentality, because it's all about Xbox with Catfish themselves switching to the Xbox brand this generation. So they really just have a lot to kind of follow through on. No, they do not. And this is just another stance and another goalpost, again, to be moved, to be scrutinized, to have an excuse. It's just insanity at its finest. I'm not surprised, coming straight from the Catfish that does need therapist help. Anybody that wants to work pro bono, I think they don't want to spend a dime, because they're all about that great value in gaming, the greatest value in gaming, right? So if anybody wants to pro bono and therapist and work some things out for the Catfish themselves, I mean, this is a great start, because this is pure delusional talk. This is victim mentality once again, and grifting at its finest, you name it, right? But just wanted to share that there with you. The goalposts have already been set, and we're already using comparisons of the Switch 2 that's not even out yet. Haven't had a Nintendo Direct about it yet, all that good stuff. But let's keep going here. Again, Paul Tassi featuring in my videos. This is like 3 times now that he's been in my videos since. But again, another small W for Paul Tassi here, but let's go. As you can see, in response to, Cold Eastwood here, oh wow, Microsoft said Xbox is positioned for long-term growth. My bad. Guess everything's totally fine and there are no issues at all. At least Paul's stating that there are issues. I can give him that, right? He's more of an Xbox guy. That's fine. Play what you want, where you want. Just don't be a shill. Don't be delusional. So I'm glad he's making some accountability here. But in response to, as you can see, I want to an apology. He was obviously typing in his fills, because when you make some sort of a rhetoric like that and you make your typos, you are in your fills. It's just the way it is. It's very rarely it's just, oh, it's a typo, phone correction, whatever. So ultimately it's stating, I want an apology from PlayStation fans that celebrated the death of Xbox and the game's journalists that, quote, tweeted them, blah, blah, blah. And then, that's in response, right, from Paul Tassi there. And Gaz comes in with the whole taking the fire, right, jumping in front of Colt, my best friend forever, jumping in there, right? Did you even read the article? That's not the only thing that it said. What do you doubt about the contents of the article and Microsoft's statement? And of course, I can't replicate the screeching chalkboard voice or noise of what comes out of the leprechaun here, but as you can see, he's just right in the thick of things. Got to defend Colt here, even though Colt is clearly in the wrong. And Paul Tassi, as you can see here, I believe any company will say what they need to in order to fit a narrative. True. Sony, Nintendo, Xbox, whoever, right? Like how they have 500 million monthly players when 240 million of those are from King Mobile Games alone. Burn, fucking burn. Right there, I mean, ouch. I don't think all the cream in the world is going to suit that burn to Gaz there. And that's what he gets for kind of just getting in there and trying to take that fire from Colt where Colt was wrong, and then Gaz ends up being an idiot, as usual, but again, maybe he'll make another documentary on me or someone else and spend his time trying to soothe that, because right now they're running with a crazy narrative here, and we may get to that in a future video here, because, man, it's not looking good for these guys. These shills, these frauds, it's not looking good for them, but I thought that was a great interaction here. Now, let's shift on over real quick to a great article from the wondrous, one of the best bloggers in the world, Jez Corden themselves. And as you can see here, the main thing keeping me on Xbox over PlayStation isn't exclusive games. It's this underrated and overlooked feature. What is that feature here? As if you can't read on here, by Jez Corden here. Xbox Anywhere is gradually expanding, but I want more. More, I say. Why don't more developers support it? Do the economics work? Let's discuss. So, breaking that down, pulling it back down again. The main thing keeping me on Xbox over PlayStation isn't exclusive games. Oh my gosh. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Literally narrative changing. Now exclusives aren't a big deal. All these years they were a big deal. Now they're not a big deal. That's not what's keeping him on Xbox. What's keeping him on Xbox is the fact that he can play these games on a LG TV or a Samsung or wherever with this Fire Stick that's coming out or whatever the case is. It's just, oh, that's what's keeping you playing on Xbox. That's not playing on Xbox. Everything's an Xbox. That's not keeping you playing on the console of Xbox. The correct phrase would be, you are willing and likely to stay in the Xbox ecosystem because of the Play Anywhere initiative. Maybe that does ring a few bells for you. Maybe that does tickle your fancy for you. But it's not because of exclusives anymore. This is hard to believe coming from Jez Corden, as if this was coming from anybody else. And this is the narrative post because Xbox had to shift, because Xbox lost the console wars, admittedly, especially within the last 2 years, admittedly sharing this information. But this is the new narrative, folks. They're okay with it. It's okay. But I guarantee you, if PlayStation did this first, these frauds, shills, and grifters would be pouncing and putting their feet on the neck of anybody else that's a fan of PlayStation, laughing in their face, stating the same stuff. You guys are moving the goalpost, you're changing the narrative, you're being delusional. It'd be shoe fits on the other foot, right? It completely. This is insanity at its finest. At its finest, folks. And what are we doing here? Anyways, enough there. I'll let you kind of divulge and chew on that for a minute here. But let's go over to our last post before we get to the videos here. Colt Eastwood, once again, can't stop being featured over and over. I mean, just everything out of his mouth is pure bull crap here. But here we go. They're making a myriad of excuses, moving the goalposts and putting the blame on Xbox while they wait and count the days for Xbox games. Who's waiting for Xbox games on PlayStation? What are we missing on PlayStation at this point in time? I don't know what we're missing at this point in time. I can't even get to my log of games and all these games coming up. But yes, it's a lack of games, and we're totally waiting on these mediocre Xbox games that we've been waiting for on PlayStation. I'll tell you what, if anybody wanted to play those games, like I stated multiple times, including myself, I would have an Xbox, or better yet, I can play it on my PC. but it doesn't entice me enough to play it on PC. I prefer console gaming, so if anything, I'd buy an Xbox to play those. But if I just couldn't wait and wanted to play that game, I up on Game Pass if I want to at the very minimum and pop it on my computer and play these games. There's no waiting. It doesn't matter. The fact they're there is a coup de grace. It's a coup de grace. That's all that is. It's not port begging. It's just a fact. There's a list of games coming. No one's waiting for anything. When it shows up, great. It may be bought more. It's a bigger install base for PlayStation. No crap. It's going to be bought more than on there. It's not no crap. It's going to be there. Just like any third party publisher. Third-party games sell more than first-party games on PlayStation. That's just how it is, because that's how third-party works. Whether it's Assassin's Creed, whether it's Call of Duty, whether it's going to end up being possibly Indiana Jones, it might sell better. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but it's not because anybody's waiting. A lot of coping going on, folks. A lot of coping going on. Really pathetic, and Mr. I'm not into console wars, and it's just a piece of plastic and all that, consistently every day, daily putting this stuff out. He's full of crap, and we'll, in a future video, go over his next narrative changes, because there's some good stuff lined up. That being said, let's get to our videos here. Now, before we get right back to the salt necessarily here, here's a video from an Xbox fanboy. You know who he is. I'm going to share this video, but he has a good point here, and I just kind of want to share with you. It is sped up, so take a quick listen, if you will. Here you go.
So you were going to shut down the Xbox division? Now, we don't know what that means. Maybe they were just going to coast the whole Xbox One generation and not have a Series S and X. I don't know. So, they were going to do that without allowing them to make at least attempt to make a better game than they did before. And that's the part that irritates me, is these people having growths and these people that are having expectations in an industry that 9 times out of 10, no one in that company knows gaming at all. I get it. AI's popping. I get it. There's so many industries popping and making all this money. But Microsoft's mindset, and look, maybe that's the way mindset you need a $1 trillion company. I don't know. But you can't assume that just because you invested in something, you're going to make that money. Because we're seeing here now, they invested into stuff just to push a product and not because they wanted their brands to be better. Bethesda. They bought Bethesda. Explain to me how you let something like Redfall happen with Bethesda, and you're going to think that's going to improve your brand and help you sell Game Pass subscriptions. I'm willing to bet, and this is just my opinion there's no numbers behind this, I have not done no research, but Game Pass probably has hurt the Xbox division just as much as it's helped it, because back in the day, I remember when they used to go for timed exclusives like Tomb Raider. They used to go for big marketing pushes. They haven't really done that in years because it would cost more money to also get something in Game Pass alongside its marketing push. So essentially what they are doing is really only, and this is not necessarily now, this is back when Game Pass first started, where remember the events, everything in this event's on Game Pass. So why would they market something that can't be in Game Pass and can't be on that event? They didn't really do it a lot. Now, obviously, that's not everything, but there was a lot of pushing towards Game Pass, regardless if it was good for Xbox. What is good for Xbox, the hardware is not necessarily what's good for Game Pass, and vice versa. Look, at the end of the day, my big thing with this is every time Microsoft has a way forward with Xbox, and every time Phil Spencer and all of them come up with a good solution that they want to follow through, halfway through it, Xbox puts this giant wrench in the clogs.
All right. So as you can see, I kind of agree with this guy with a lot of things, right? He's at least willing and admittedly stating what Microsoft has had, what they could have had, what they should have acted upon, how they should have treated it. At least he's being honest right here. Just wanted to share that with you. At least we have a little bit of honesty, but will they stay that way? Or will they crumble to the grift? To the shilling? Will they crumble to that? Odds are they probably will, but at least once in a while that truth comes out, because of that frustration grows to the top like a volcano, and it comes out, spews out, they get that frustration out, and the truth comes out when that happens. So every once in a while, we get that tidbit of information. But that being said, let's move on to our next resident bonehead here, and we have something from Mr. XL Boomstick here. Talking about some publishing stuff. Go ahead and take a look at this one here.
We know games that are potentially launching this year, next year, and into 2027. Sony can't say that. We also have to remember that with games going to Switch, with games going to the PlayStation 5, Xbox has officially become the biggest games publisher in gaming, meaning they're bigger than EA and 2K and everyone else underneath them. The more money they make, the better chance that they're going to own a 2K. Like, again, new things are happening in government. And again, that's as far as we're going to talk about politics on this show. But new people are moving into office where buying corporations or buying other companies is going to be less stressful. Microsoft is waiting. They are perched, and they are waiting for the next acquisition. Is that going to come the way of studios first? Big acquisition in 26? I have no idea. I'm not a fly on the wall, but I can tell you, you've heard from the people in charge of the money. Satya Nadella himself said they are not done shopping, which tells me that someone like a 2K could be, be up for grabs. Who knows? And well, if you already own Call of Duty, you might as well own Grand Theft Auto as well.
All right. So now, like I said, they're shifting, right? Now it's all about the publisher wars, and it's big. They're big. That's what's going to happen. It's big with his little Cupid doll hair. I'd rather have this, guys, than the Cupid doll hair. Let it go, man. But that being said, what we're looking at here is just a complete shift of a goalpost once again, and it's all about now publisher wars. PlayStation and Nintendo are not going to be part of this publisher war nonsense for quite some time. Will it eventually get there? Possibly. Anytime soon? Absolutely not. You can pretend and think that Microsoft is going to placate into things and they're just sitting on bated breath to go ahead and purchase more. And especially Rockstar, can we drop that? Rockstar is in no way, shape, or form wanting to even sell their company, let alone how ridiculous it would be to purchase them for Microsoft at this point in time or anytime soon. They have a lot to make back, and they're not sure what their future looks like aside from being third party, yes, but they have a lot to make back, and it's going to take some time. And one day, who knows, maybe they can purchase more, but right now that's what you're leaning towards. At that point in time, by the time they purchase Rockstar, and if they do, it doesn't matter. Let's say they do, it doesn't matter. Because it's going to be available everywhere. Good for them. You want to applaud, talk about a corporate bootlicker here once again. You're applauding a company making more money, and when they're already third party, they're not going to be like, hey guys, we got a crap ton of money, we're re-entering the console space. Is that what you're ultimately hoping is going to happen? Because it's not. It's not. Oh my gosh, the craziness there. But before we beat on that some more here, we got one more from here. And they're not stopping with the port begging, but I'll tell you what, go ahead and take a look.
PlayStation may not want to do a multi-platform way of doing business. They may be forced to. And the first one that I see going is Helldivers 2, which I had reported on speaking with somebody in the middle of the year of 2024 that was a game that Sony was seriously considering bringing over to Xbox. And you know what, folks? I don't know for sure if that's going to happen, but if Sony wants to make money, they'll release it on Xbox.
As you can see, a lot of assumptions, a lot of port begging, still hoping, holding on to those fruits that Helldivers 2 is going to be coming over to them because, they were just about to do it. You don't know nothing. We haven't heard anything, even from Shu, from nobody. Nobody stating that Helldivers 2 was this close to coming over to Xbox. They don't need it. The point is, nothing is bought over there, whether it would be Helldivers or not. 9 out of 10 times, most games don't get bought well over there. That's why Game Pass is a thing. That's why they had to shift. We've revisited this multiple times. And what are we doing? Stop port begging. You want to talk about the definition of port begging when, we're waiting for Xbox games? No, the Xbox folks would kill over if any of those first-party games, Helldivers 2, which isn't full-on first-party for sure, but if God of War, Uncharted, Last of Us, whatever, big heavy hitters came over to Xbox, they would be ecstatic. The most of us, like Indiana Jones, okay, sure, whatever, right? Avowed, whatever. As soon as Master Chief Collection, the thing that's going to get things rumbling is the fact of the salt. Kind of laughing like, yeah, we're going to play this just for the salt and the funniness alone at this point. That's what it's about. But no one's waited on bated breath for Master Chief Collection because, again, if they wanted it, they'd get the console that had the game on there, or they would just play it on their PC. It's not, most people aren't that delusional over on the PlayStation side of things where like, I'm just not touching those games. If they want them, they're going to do it. It's not because it's not on their preferred platform. Simple. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So that being said, quite a bit of different salt there. Just wanted to share these with you folks. Of course, more down the pipeline as usual. If you made it through the entirety of the video, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. If you haven't already, leave a like and a comment down below. Both those things do help out the algorithm. And in addition, I do love to hear from y'all, whether it be the haters or not. It makes my day. So that being said, if you haven't already, definitely consider subscribing, helping out a small content creator like myself, ever moving ever so closer to that 3,000 sub goal. Thank you guys so much. Absolutely amazing. I cannot believe it. Every day as it keeps creeping up there. Absolutely amazing. Thank you all so much. I'm glad you enjoyed the rest of your day. I'm glad you will. Hope you will. Whatever the case may be. And of course, if you love hearing the truth, stay tuned for even more, because that's what we do mostly on this channel as well, within the Salty Batch Files. And of course, at the end of your day, just remember, don't be a salty batch. And we'll see y'all next time on the next Xvault Gaming video. And until then, take care.